Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an ancient story about a prince who takes the idea of generosity to a level that is, well, both incredible and honestly pretty challenging to wrap your head around. It's a story that's definitely going to make you think about what it really means to give. Before we jump in, seriously, think about that for a second. Is it your house, a favorite possession, maybe a person you love? Whatever it is, hold that thought, because the story we're about to explore pushes this exact question to its absolute breaking point. All right, let's get into it. And our story doesn't actually start with a prince at all. It starts with the Buddha himself, just sitting around with his disciples. So, one day, the Buddha cracks this smile, but it's not just any smile. The scripture says a five-colored light literally shines out of his mouth. Now, his closest disciple, Ananda, who's been with him for over 20 years, has never seen anything like it. It was just radiant, totally otherworldly. So, of course, Ananda has to ask, what was that all about? And the Buddha's answer is just amazing. He says he's not thinking about some grand cosmic thing. No, he's remembering a past life from ages and ages ago. He was remembering a time when he was a prince and learned the ultimate, most extreme lesson about what it means to give. And that's really the whole point of this kind of story. See, this isn't just some fairy tale. It's what's called a Jataka tale, a teaching story from the Buddhist tradition. It's specifically designed to illustrate this core virtue called dāna-pāramitā. And that basically means the perfection of generosity. We're talking about a kind of giving so total, so selfless that it's a huge step on the path to becoming enlightened. So let's go back. Let's travel to that past life and see what this radical generosity actually looked like. We're going to the kingdom of Yepo, which was ruled by a good king named Shipo. So the king finally gets the son he's always wanted, Prince Sudāna. And this prince, he's got it all. He's handsome, he's got a wonderful family, he's a good guy. But he has this one quality that defines his entire existence. He loves to give things away. For him, giving isn't just a nice thing to do, it's the highest virtue. And he's made this personal vow. He will give anything to anyone who asks for it, no exceptions. Okay, but this is where the story takes a turn, right? Because what happens when your personal vow to be radically generous slams right into your duty as a prince? Well, Prince Sudāna is about to find out, and it's gonna be messy. So every kingdom has that one thing, their ace in the hole, their ultimate deterrent. For the kingdom of Yepo, it was a spectacular white elephant named Sūdañan. This was way more than just an animal. This elephant was their national security system, a sacred symbol of power that guaranteed they'd win any battle. The king valued it as much as he valued his own son. So you can imagine what happens when a group of guys from a rival kingdom show up and ask Prince Sudāna for the elephant. The prince is stuck. He knows giving it away is basically treason. He knows it could cost him his title, his home, everything. But that vow is absolute. So he does it. He gives away the elephant. The kingdom freaks out. The ministers are furious, and the king, totally heartbroken and backed into a corner, has no choice but to banish his own son for 12 years. And in a real show of devotion, his wife Mandi says, "No way, I'm going with you." So she and their two little kids follow him into exile. And get this, even on the way, the prince just can't stop giving. He gives away their horses, then he gives away their cart, then he even gives away the fine clothes they're wearing, until they finally get to the mountain with absolutely nothing left but each other. So they make a new life for themselves in the mountains. They're living in little grass huts, eating whatever fruits and roots they can find. But it's right here, in this complete isolation, that the prince's vow is about to face its final and most unthinkable test. A Brahmin shows up, and the story describes him as this awful, hideous-looking man, almost like a demon. He's traveled for thousands of miles because his wife demanded he get her some servants, and he's come to make the one request you'd think nobody could ever grant. He points to the prince's children and says, "Give them to me." And this is the real heart of the story, isn't it? This impossible conflict. On one side, you have his sacred vow, the entire foundation of his spiritual quest. And on the other, you have the most powerful instinct a person can have, a father's love and his duty to protect his kids. How do you even begin to choose between those two things? The kids, Jali and Krishnajina, are absolutely terrified. I mean, they're only 6 and 7 years old. They look at this strange, cruel man, and they're convinced he's a demon who's going to eat them. So they're crying and pleading with their father, who's about to hand them over while their mom is off gathering food. He does it. He chooses the vow. The text says he actually pours water over the Brahmin's hands, which is the ritual to seal the gift, and then he ties his own children's hands together. And in that exact moment, the story says the entire earth shook, as if creation itself couldn't believe what just happened. Now, as shocking as that act is, it's not the end of the story. In fact, it's the thing that sets off this incredible chain reaction, part divine, part just human, that leads to a really unexpected ending. So first, a god named Chakra shows up in disguise to test the prince one last time, asking for his wife. The prince agrees. So Chakra, now convinced, reveals himself and promises the family will be reunited. Meanwhile, that awful Brahmin takes the kids back to the capital city to sell them. But they're recognized at court. Their grandfather, the king, is just overcome with regret. He pays the Brahmin for their freedom and immediately sends word for his son and daughter-in-law to come home from exile. So the prince comes back, but not in shame. He returns as a hero. His act is no longer seen as this reckless betrayal, but as the ultimate act of spiritual devotion. And get this, they put him in charge of the entire royal treasury, so he can just keep giving things away, but now on a scale bigger than ever before. And this is where we come full circle, right back to the Buddha sitting with his disciples, ready to explain what that mysterious smile in this whole incredible story was really about. And here is the final amazing reveal. The Buddha explains that everyone in that story from long ago was just a past life of someone in his current life. Prince Sudāna, that was him. His wife, his son, his father, they all came back to be his family again. It shows these deep karmic connections that link us all through time. And that cruel Brahmin who took the children, he was reborn as Devadatta, the Buddha's own jealous cousin and rival. It just goes to show you, these relationships, good and bad, they keep playing out. And then the Buddha makes one last crucial point. This whole insane story, all that pain and all that sacrifice, that was just one lifetime, one lesson, out of countless lifetimes he had to go through, perfecting virtues just like this one, all on the long, long road to finally becoming the Buddha. And that is the huge, difficult question this ancient story leaves us grappling with. I mean, from our normal human point of view, what the prince did seems reckless, maybe even monstrous. But from the perspective of what's called a bodhisattva, a being who's dedicated to becoming enlightened for the good of everyone else, it was a perfect, necessary sacrifice. The story just forces you to ask, where is that line between a spiritual ideal and our very real human responsibilities? It's a tough one, and it's definitely worth thinking about.